What's up, guys, and welcome to another edition of The Secret Shop.
What sort of prize is this?
So today's video is going to be about draft analysis, and I want to preface the video by saying that there are millions of ways to draft, and none of them are incorrect, it's just some ways are better than others. What I have for you guys today is just a good standard format for drafting that's just meant to get you started with the basics. It's mostly for getting you in the right mindset during the pick phase, so take it with a grain of salt. Now, this can be used in any game mode, but I'm going to be highlighting ranked all pick primarily just because that's the majority of what people are going to be playing. If enough people request for me to do a video on captain's mode, then I'll do that in a separate video. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is the general template that I was talking about, and it only works if all 5 players are on board. So if one or more of your teammates are being assholes, then there's not a whole lot you can do about that. You're just gonna have to adapt and pick accordingly. So I'm gonna try and go section by section just to not to overwhelm you guys too much. I know it's a pretty decent amount to take in, and this is not even scratching the surface of the pick phase. So I'll try my best to go through. I'll even try and do hero by hero. Some of them are self-explanatory, so I'll skip over those, but you'll get the idea. So we'll start off with the banning phase. In ranked all pick, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm sure it doesn't really take a rocket scientist to figure out that you're just going to be banning the most broken shit or stuff that immediately counters what you're thinking of. So if you want to pick Storm Spirit, you're obviously going to want to ban AM or Nyx Assassin, something along those lines, but you get the picture. So by rule of thumb, you want to pick opposite to your position. So if you're playing hard support, position 5, you generally want to pick first, and if you're playing position 1, usually you want to save your pick for last. The absolute last thing that you want to do is pick one of your core's first pick, and then get immediately countered by 3 people from the enemy team. Unless your hero is uncounterable, you really shouldn't be picking your core first or even second, because I can promise you 99% of the time you're not going to have a good game. And even if it means losing gold in the beginning phase, you should not be picking your cores first. Trigger warning for those with OCD, otherwise known as little bitch syndrome. The squares that I made are from Microsoft Paint, so they're not all the same size, so please don't give me shit for it. So the first pick, you're either going to want to pick a busted hero or a versatile support. Busted meaning they are very strong heroes and they have very, very few counters in the laning stage. So those are going to be in the special mentions below. The versatile supports are pretty much position 4 or 5 heroes, any support that can alternate positions and have limited counters. That's pretty much all of these heroes. The only ones that I can really point anything out for are going to be Bounty Hunter, Pudge, Rikimaru, and Treant Protector. All of the other heroes are usually played as position 5 supports. Maybe not Earth Spirit, he might be a 4, but usually the others are played as position 5. Sometimes they can substitute for position 4 if need be. The other ones, Bounty Hunter, Rikimaru, Pudge, Treant Protector, those guys are usually position 4. Sometimes they might play a core position. Very atypical that they would. As for the special mentions, this is what I mentioned earlier. These should be the only heroes that you first pick. Special mention would be Luna, and that's in very rare occasions. So these heroes are going to be Ember, Lone Druid, Monkey King, Sand King, Slardar, and Pit Lord. And that's just because all of these heroes are so dominant in the laning phase and so dominant in during the game in general that it doesn't really matter when you pick these heroes. So for the second pick, you're going to want to be shooting for a support or a versatile core. So the core heroes that can substitute as a support are going to be Abaddon, Kunkka, Leshrac, Lina, Priestess of the Moon, Night Stalker, Nyx Assassin, Omni Knight, Pugna, and Zeus. The other ones are pretty much supports, but they can be played as cores if need be. It's just not very optimal or typical for them to do so. So those support heroes are going to be Earthshaker, um, Phoenix, Pugna, Silencer, Spirit Breaker, Tuskar, Dirge, Venomancer, Visage, and Warlock. The other special mentions that you see below, these are heroes that if you want to hold off on picking so that you can bait the enemy picks, then you can do so. If you think the enemy is going to pick something like Morphling or Huskar, then maybe you want to save the Ancient Apparition pick. If you want to go jungle or off lane as Enchantress or Enigma, then maybe you hold off on those if you're planning on picking them as a core. If you want to bait a Pudge pick or Omni pick, something that you can get big spells from, then maybe you hold off on Rubik. If you're waiting for them to pick something like Meepo or some stupid shit that's easily counterable by Winter Wyvern, then you can hold off on them. Techies, I threw him in here just because honestly, and I know a lot of people on Reddit don't want to hear it, but this is a pretty shit hero. He's never going to see play in competitive right now. Well, very rarely will you see it in competitive, if any. He just doesn't really have a place in the meta, so if you are going to pick this hero, if you are a Techies player, God bless, go ahead and pick him wherever the hell you want to. I don't think it really matters. So moving on to the third pick here, we're either going to be going with a versatile core, a jungler, or a regular position 3 offlaner. So pretty much everyone here is a versatile core. They can move in between positions. The only ones that I have special mentions to are going to be Axe, Centaur, and Clockwork, and maybe even Nature's Prophet, those 4. They're not really too flexible in the positions that they play. Junglers, more than likely, since let's be realistic, we're playing ranked matchmaking and public games, so more than likely you're going to see Axe, Beastmaster, Doombringer, Legion Commander, and Nature's Prophet 99% of the time. But the only real junglers that you should be seeing are Beastmaster, Chen, Enchantress, and Enigma. You really shouldn't see any other heroes run into the jungle. And I want to highlight on the fact that you want to save the jungle pick for the third pick in case they go with something like Bounty Hunter or Rikimaru. If you pick a jungler into one of those 2 heroes, you're not going to have a good time. The other regular position 3 offlaners is going to be the majority of the pool here. So Axe, Batrider, Beastmaster, Panda, Bristleback Centaur, Doombringer, Enigma, Legion Commander, Nature's Prophet, Puck, Tidehunter, Timbersaw, Viper, Weaver, Windrunner, Void, and Magnus. So for the last 2 picks here, the 4th and 5th pick, you're going to be going with either a core 1 or 2 position, so either your mid laner or your hard carry. Any hero under the 4th pick column can typically be picked in either the 4th or 5th pick, it doesn't really matter. The only real difference here is if you're feeling a little spicy and you're trying to go for some easily countered or cheese strats, then maybe you might want to hold off and pick Broodmother, Meepo, Medusa, or a Sniper for your last pick. Otherwise, any 1 or 2 core can be picked here. Well, that's all I've got for today's video. I know it's a lot to digest, but the easiest way I can summarize the video is the rule of thumb that I mentioned earlier. So if you're planning on playing a position 5 hard support, maybe consider picking first or second so that your most important roles, 1 or 2, can save their pick for last. This isn't even the tip of the iceberg. Captain's mode is a completely different beast in itself. So if enough people request to see a video on that, then I'll consider making a follow-up video during a later time. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like and subscribe for future content. I also do read all of the comments you guys leave me, so feel free to comment either on the threads that I post or on the video itself. And if you want to catch me streaming on Twitch, please feel free to join me and click the link in the description below. Thank you guys for watching.
And our parents were kinda cool, but they ran a fine line between me and you. We were just doing things young people in love do. Parents trying to find out what we were up to. Saying, why were you creeping around late last night? Why did I see two shadows moving in your bedroom light? Now you're dressed in black when I left you were dressed in